Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Was Islam spread by the sword? How can Islam be called a religion of peace when it was spread by the sword? It's a common complaint among some non-Muslims that Islam wouldn't have millions of adherents all over the world if it hadn't been spread by the use of force. I have some logical and reasonable points that will make it clear. Islam means peace. Islam comes from the root word salam. Islam also means the total submission to the will of God. Thus, Islam is a religion of peace. Sometimes force has to be used to maintain peace. It's precisely for this reason that we have the police who force against the criminals, antisocial elements to maintain peace in this country. In Islam, force can be only used to promote peace and justice. The best reply to the misconception that Islam is spread by the sword is given by the noted historian in the book Islam at the Crossroad.
History makes it clear, however, that the legend of fanatical Muslims sweeping through the world and forcing Islam at the point of the sword upon conquered races is one of the most fantastically absurd myths that historians have ever repeated.
Muslims ruled Spain for about 80 years. The Muslims in Spain never used the sword to force the people to convert to Islam. Later, the Christian Crusaders came to Spain and wiped out the Muslims. There wasn't a single Muslim in Spain who could openly give the adhan, that is the call for prayers. Muslims were the lords of Arabia for 1,400 years. For a few years the British ruled, and for a few years the French ruled. Overall, the Muslims ruled Arabia for 1,400 years. Yet today, there are 14 million Arabs who are Coptic Christian. If Muslims had used the sword, there wouldn't have been a single Arab who would have remained Christian. The Muslims ruled India for about 1,000 years. If they wanted, they had the power of converting every and each non-Muslim to Islam. Today, more than 80% of the population of India are non-Muslims, and they are bearing witness that Islam is not spread by the sword. Indonesia is a country that has the maximum number of Muslims in the world. The majority of people in Indonesia, Malaysia may want to ask, which Muslim army went to Indonesia and Malaysia to force the people to convert to Islam? What did Thomas Carlyle say?
The sword indeed, but where will you get your sword? Every new opinion at the starting is precisely a minority of one. In one man's head alone, there dwells as yet. One man alone of the whole world believes it. There is one man against all men. That he takes a sword and tries to propagate with that would do little for him. You must get your sword. On the whole, a thing will propagate itself as it can.
Let me tell you what kind of sword is. It's not the sword you know. It's the sword of the intellect. It's the sword that conquers the hearts and minds of people. Allah says in Quran,
ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين.
Islam is the fastest growing religion in America and Europe. Which sword is forcing people in the West to accept Islam in large numbers? Let's see what the Dr. Joseph said.
People who worry that nuclear weapon will one day fall in the hands of the Arabs fail to realize that Islamic bomb has been dropped already. It fell the day Muhammad was born.
I want you to have a look at the statistics of non-Muslims who are converting to Islam every day. Are they converted to Islam by the sword, or are they using their hearts and minds? See you later.